Hi and welcome to this week's Mortgage Broker broadcast. This week's podcast goes out just a few days before Christmas of 2022, so you might be still in panic buying mode, you still could be out there trying to find those last minute gifts, or you could be very well organised, everything is wrapped, everything is ready for the big day. So wherever you're at, this is the last Mortgage Broker broadcast before Christmas 2022. And I just wanted to pick up on something that I talked about on the podcast a few weeks ago, and that is about reviewing. It's important to take some time out to review what you've achieved this year, absolutely. It's important to create the habit of reviewing. So reviewing what you've achieved in 2022, ideally away from the desk, taking some time out and looking at what you've really achieved can kickstart the habit of reviewing, which is very important. So reviewing does stop you from making the same mistakes. Reviewing will help you develop. Reviewing will help you give you a sense check and a positive kick to make sure that you are growing. So I wanted just to get into the podcast and let me explain more. You're listening to the Mortgage Broker broadcast with me, Craig Skelton, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. Hello and welcome to this week's podcast. As I said, this week's podcast is looking at reviewing. I talked about reviewing in a little bit of detail on a podcast a couple of weeks ago when I talked about reviewing 2022 and planning for 2023. That was really, obviously in there we covered both topics, but what I wanted to do is really drill down and delve into more what I meant by reviewing. So if you haven't done your review of 2022 and you've not got your plans in place for 2023 yet, you still have got a few days left to do that, but there's not much time, so it's important to get those done before Christmas, absolutely. But what I want to do, as I said, is just dig a little bit deeper, delve a little bit more into the importance of reviewing. And what I want to look at, and what I'm going to look at, is what I mean by when I'm talking about reviewing, how often should you review, and why you should review. So the first point is, what do I mean by reviewing? Well, you could call it reviewing, you could call it checking in with yourself. You will be total honesty and accountability while you're reviewing. And what I mean by reviewing is, just to explain, and hopefully this will make sense, that I use a journal for everyday tasks, everyday actions. It's a daily journal with space in it for today's actions, today's tasks, and there's also space in there for reviewing the day. It has the same in there for weeks, so weekly tasks and priorities. It also then has space in there for me to review the week as well. It has the same for monthly, and it has the same for quarterly as well. And so what it does is then forces me to then review and look at what I've achieved today, look at what I've achieved for the week, for the month, and for the quarter. So what did I do what I set out to do today? Did I achieve what I wanted to achieve today? And it really helps with looking at making sure that I'm just not drifting along and actually taking action. So I do use Todoist, which is an app for general tasks, admin tasks. You can use Todoist for all your tasks and all your actions, but I do use Todoist for my purpose, which is if there are admin tasks that I do at the same time on the same day each week, then I just put them in Todoist, and every single day those tasks will come up. But what I use my journal for is more deep, meaningful tasks, those real core actions and tasks that I need to get done, not the basic admin stuff. It's actually the real core tasks of what I've needed to do. Because what Todoist is great, and it's a really useful app, and I know quite a few brokers that use Todoist. However, it's not something that you can review. There might be some tool or function in there that you can look at for reviewing, which I've not found, and I'm sure people will reach out and speak up if there is something like that in there. But what Todoist is an app with your tasks, you tick them off, and they then just disappear. So you end with a clear day. However, with a journal, I just feel that reviewing, writing the tasks down, writing the actions down, planning, and then reviewing them at the end of the day just holds me more accountable. It forces me into the right habits. It also as well makes me look honestly at what I've achieved for the day, for the week, for the month, for the quarter. So it does hold you accountable rather than just a tick box exercise. It forces you to review. So like I said, you can sort of see that as a check in with yourself, or like I say, accountability. It could be a mindset thing. But what I mean by reviewing is looking and reflecting back on what I set out to achieve today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year, and reviewing I've achieved what I said I was going to do. So that is what I mean by reviewing or checking in. The second point is, how often should you review? Now, I review every single day. Now, I know that can be too much for some people. Again, as I always sort of say, find your own race within this, look at how you want to be measured. And I just feel that daily, reviewing my daily actions and my tasks at the end of the day means I can have a quicker impact on my wins and my losses if I've not achieved what I needed to achieve. So if there are things on there that I'm not achieved what I set out to achieve, if you're reviewing those things daily, it can mean that you can react quickly to those rather than at the end of the week or the month or the quarter, or certainly at the end of the year. So I would say I review daily. That's not for everybody. However, that works for me. What I would say is, as a bare minimum, you should be reviewing every single week. So setting out your tasks, setting out your big challenges, setting out your goals for the week. And at the end of the week, whatever day, whatever time that is in your diary planned in, is then reviewing what you set out to achieve. But I also do, so my minimum is daily. I do it daily. Minimum I would say is doing it weekly, but I also do it monthly, I also do it quarterly, and I do it annually as well. And I think it's just important to make sure that you're reviewing, setting out what you did, so and what you wanted to achieve. So as I say, in terms of how often, down to you. Daily for me, I would say bare minimum is weekly, absolutely. And then the last point on this is why you should review. And I think there are loads of different reasons why you should be reviewing. This is just my take on it and my few things, but I think reviewing daily just helps you create the right habits. It helps you on reflection is a great and powerful thing. So when you sit down away from your desk, away from your laptop, away from your PC, whatever, and look down on your actions of what you set out to achieve, and then planning for tomorrow, when you're reflecting, you will have an honest accountability. So it's something that you're holding yourself accountable for day in, day out. So that's, for me, one reason why you should be reviewing daily, weekly, whatever that looks like for you. You will also react quickly as well. So if you do have those, you will learn from your wins, you will learn from your losses. We all have wins every single day. We all have losses every single day. That is just how it is. So with the losses, if you are reviewing them and reflecting on them, you will grow quicker. You will react to those losses quicker. The same with the wins. If you get a win, then and you review that and reflect on that, you're more likely to have that win again in the future and more build on those wins. So when you're looking at your challenges, looking at your tasks, looking at things that put you out of your comfort zone, if you then at the end of the day reflect on those and review those, you will take a hard look at yourself and think, actually, I did what I set out to do. I did take myself out of that comfort environment, take myself out of my own comfort zone, and you will feel very positive about that when you reflect on that at the end of the day. Yes, you will feel good at the time once you've achieved that action, but just reviewing what you've achieved, reviewing the week, the day, the month, the quarter, will help you feel very motivated about what you're doing. And you have choices with this. I think the thing is, for me, is that you either drift or you take action. Now, when you are reviewing and reflecting, you are more likely to take action. You are less likely to drift, and you're more likely to take action. And taking action is so vital and important to building a successful mortgage broker business. If you're just drifting, then you're just drifting. You're going to be drifting along, whereas taking action will make you grow. It just holds you accountable. And as long as you are having an honest look at yourself and you're reviewing honestly about you and what you've achieved, then you will grow. So that's this week's podcast. Just to recap, we've looked at what I meant by reviewing, when you should be reviewing, and why you should be reviewing, and the importance of that. So the takeaway for me is it is important. Daily, ideally, weekly as a bare minimum, but also monthly, quarterly, and annual as well. Give yourself that time of reflection. Did you achieve what you set out to achieve? I think that's the time to do that and be honest with yourself and hold yourself accountable. So thank you for listening to this podcast. Like I say, it's the last one before Christmas 2022. Any thoughts, feedback, comments, put into the chat on whichever platform you're watching or listening to in the podcast. If you're thinking about becoming a self-employed mortgage broker or looking to set up your own mortgage broker brand and business, or if you're looking to accelerate your mortgage broker business, get in touch so I can help and support you achieve your goals. A very Merry Christmas. Thank you to everyone who has listened and subscribed and reviewed so far this year. And if you've not put a review on iTunes already, then please do so. I appreciate the feedback, I appreciate the comments, and don't forget, one last thing, run your own race. Thank you for listening to the Mortgage Broker Broadcast, the podcast which helps mortgage brokers at all stages of their mortgage broking career. If you have any questions about this podcast or any topics you want us to discuss, or if you're interested in working with me further, then please get in touch.